Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto is Mirajane's brother fairy tale. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by RIGBUTTER96 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Thunder rumbled as the members of Fairy Tail sat at their usual spots, but no one could manage a smile. All they could do was wait. Wait. A simple thing, but it carried so much hope and dread with it. How could they have known that such a simple S-rank mission would turn out like this? Markov looked at his children, worry evident on his face. He stopped at one in particular as she sat with Urza and Kana, who were giving her some form of comfort. Mirajane had started to cry uncontrollably for the past few hours, her only comfort was the growing bulge that was her belly. Markov sighed as he checked his viewing lacrima. He had given the other to Gilderts so that he could contact him when they were in Magnolia Town. He grimaced as he downed the last of his beer. It was all he could do. All anyone could do. He had no idea what Naruto Namikaze would face. The mission hadn't been mislabeled. It had been given to him by the Mage Council, a request for the man he sent. But it turned out to be an attempted assassination. A trick to get him killed. To stop him from living and teaching his magic to others. But, as far as he knew, it had failed. The man was still alive and well, the last massage he got from Gildert said that he was safe and sound, if beaten badly. A sudden light from the lacrima got his, and everyone's, attention. He picked it up, filled with hope, as he answered. Gilderts, are you here? The answer came back. Yes. We're in the hospital. Naruto is being treated for extreme damage to his body, his entire first layer of skin had been peeled off when he went version 2. He will be right as rain in the morning. Mira jumped to her feet, making her way as fast as she could out of the guild. Her pink dress quickly got soaked in the downpour as she made her way to the hospital, all of the guild following her. They arrived and saw that Mira was arguing with the nurse. You have to let me see him. I'm some of his only family. Mira reasoned. I'm sorry, but he doesn't need visitors, right? Excuse me, but I believe that, as guildmaster, I have the right to see my children. Markov cut in. The nurse reluctantly nodded as she led the group of Mirajane, Markov, Gray, Urza and Kana to Naruto's room. When they entered, they saw him wrapped in bandages, the only thing making him out to be himself is his signature pitch black, spiked hair. He still had on his purple pants and black boots. His white haori with flames on the bottom hung off the chair and his fighting staff leaning against the wall. Mira was immediately by his side, his bandaged hand in her grasp. Granted, he wore bandages all over his body normally, but now he was actually hurt. Markov was quietly talking with the doctor as the group all stood next to Naruto. Mirajane spoke first. Naruto, you idiot. I told you to come home fine, but you go and get hurt. When you wake up, I'm going to take you to Pryusha so that she can beat some sense into her grandson. After she was done, Gray came up. Hey, big bro, hope you get better soon. The guild is way too quiet without your laughter and all the jokes and pranks you pull. Urza was next. Naruto, you stupid fool. Why do you always get put into situations like this? Sigh, when Mira gets done with you, be prepared to take your punishment from me. Kana was the next one. You need to get better fast, Naruto. Too many people are counting on you. And besides, Mira needs you to help take care of the baby. A dry chuckle rang through the room as the bandage's form shifted and Naruto's deep gray eyes opened. Well, with friends like this, how can I just lay in this bed? This time tomorrow, I'll be up and about, laughing and eating ramen. Mira was by his side. Naruto, you need to rest. You were hurt pretty badly. The version 2 form of your magic is still dangerous. Naruto just gave a booming laugh at that. His laughter seemed to lift the spirits of the fairy tale mages in the room. Mira, don't worry. I made a promise to always be with you. I have no intention of dying just yet. Besides, knowing Granny, she'd just find a way to bring me back and make me do chores again. He sat up, not caring or noticing the pain he was in, as he looked around. Gray understood what he was looking for and said. Big bro, your hat kind of got incinerated. Naruto stared at his surrogate little brother before he shouted. No. Kana laughed as she brought out a purple beanie with a swirling leaf on the forehead before tossing it to him. At his starry eyes, she said. I remember that you hate having your hair uncovered, just like the rest of your body, and decided to bring your hat. Naruto gave a grateful nod, absently rubbing his chest. Everyone knew why he wore the bandages, but only Gray, Mira, Kana, and Markov had actually seen his full body scars. He had gotten them from his dragon parent, none of them knowing who that parent was. All they knew was he had been cruel when training Naruto. Markov and Mira knew, but they were tight-lipped about it. Gray rubbed the back of his head as he said. Hey, Naruto, I have a question. And I may have an answer. Was his reply. Continuing, Gray said. Well, do you think that maybe, after we leave, I could sleep over at your place? Just for a little while. Naruto looked at Gray and said. Fangirls breaking into your apartment. At Gray's nod, he said. Yes. Never be afraid to ask for help from fangirls. They have no souls and can destroy property faster than Natsu and the rest of Fairy Tail. Markarov gave off a boisterous laugh as he nodded in agreement. Oi, I can drink to that. Naruto laughed as he finished getting ready, his haori hanging off his shoulder loosely and his hat covering his hair, save for the parts that fell around his head and down his neck. He had re-bandaged his body while in the bathroom, not wanting his many scars to be seen. They walked along the streets of Magnolia Town, Naruto leaning heavily on his staff. Mira's arm was looped through his as they walked. When they got to Fairy Tail, Natsu was standing waiting for them. He grinned at Naruto and charged, his fist covered in flames. Fight me, Naruto. Mira's fist soon met his face as he was blasted back, opening the guild doors as violently as possible. Naruto whooped at the destruction as he kissed Mirajane on the cheek through his bandages as he yelled as loud as he could. That's my girl. Every guild member looked up and cheered when they saw their bandaged friend well. All of them had been worried sick, praying for him to be alright after the hellish fight he had been in. But they were nervous. Naruto had come back only minutes after another one of their S-class mages and his followers did. Laxus looked at the man who was second only to his grandfather, anger and disgust on his face. He hated the Namikaze. Hated how he was so strong, how he had such a hot girl. He hated how she had become pregnant with a bandaged man's child, wishing it was he who had done it first. He sneered and turned back to his Thunder God tribe. Naruto sat at the bar, sighing in relief as he did. His leg was still hurting him from where the giant fucking sand rat had nearly crushed it. Granted, he had used one of his 3 lost magics to obliterate the thing's arm, it still was a very rude gesture. He leaned back as he relaxed. The fight had been hard, but he had won. He had beaten Shukaku of the Sand. While he never understood his recent popularity amongst the people of Fiori, he did know that due to his moniker as the Nullman and the Biju Killer. Kana had told him, while walking to the guild, that the weekly sorcerer had already asked for an interview with him and Mirajane over their child. He was hesitant, having never really gotten used to the attention he was getting. If Tusama found out, he would kill him. He still couldn't believe that Mirajane had agreed to a photoshoot with her in a nursery. He had just stared at the picture, seeing he read to her already showing stomach as she was 4 months in, 2 months ago, and it just looked perfect to him. The way she had that serene smile on her face, the look she had in her eyes as she read to their unborn child, just made him warm inside. Looking up when a bowl of miso ramen was placed in front of him, Naruto saw the smiling face of the woman he loved. Eat up. Tomorrow, as punishment for making me worry so much, you will be doing an interview with the weekly sorcerer reporter. But for now, welcome home. She leaned forward and pulled his bandages down just enough so she could kiss him. As they locked lips, Naruto was reminded as to why he loved her. At first, she had treated him like dirt, even though he was on her team and had saved her life many times. It was only after Lisana had died and he had been hospitalized for using his dust magic in a dangerous situation that she had come to him. They had looked at each other before Naruto asked her why she was here. She didn't answer, preferring to just sit by him and hold his hand. She had asked after a few days of talking to show her what he looked like under his bandages. When he did, she had cried for him. His scars were horrible. His arm looked like it had been cut off and reattached, while his chest looked like it had been torn open and sealed up by an amateur sewer. After, they had spent more time with each other, coming to know each other. Pretty soon, Mira had changed into the kind and friendly girl she was today and had admitted her feelings to Naruto. They had been going out for a year and a half when she had gotten pregnant. After the kiss, Naruto pulled his bandages back onto his face, his eyes crinkling into a smile. Well, Mirajane, if I didn't know any better would say that you have seduced me with your sheer amazingness. Mira smiled as she hit him playfully on the chest. Well, I would be lying if I said that you're pretty amazing yourself, in more ways than one. Naruto smirked at that. He was proud of his manhood. He would never show it to anyone other than his Mirajane of course, but he knew that he was gifted in his physical aspects of their relationship. At that moment, 3 things happened. The first, Natsu tried to attack Naruto from behind, failing miserably. The second was Natsu's foot connecting with Naruto's ramen. And the third was said ramen that fell and broke on the ground. Everyone froze as Naruto stared at his bowl of ramen, a look of absolute horror on his face. He fell to his knees as he tried to cup the ramen through his bandaged fingers. No. Why you? Why? For what purpose was there for your death? He openly sobbed as Mirajane patted his back consolingly. She knew his love of ramen. Having seen him devour more ramen than Natsu any kind of food made her wonder how he was able to keep such a lean and muscular appearance, despite the fact that he towered over her petite frame of 5'10" with his large 6'3". Naruto fell into the fetal position as he rocked back and forth. Makarov knew what would happen next and restrained Naruto as the man leapt at Natsu, rage in his eyes. Makarov grunted as the man struggled to kill the pink-haired dragon slayer. Said dragon slayer was hiding behind a table, trying to get the other enraged dragon slayer to calm down. Naruto, I am so sorry. As a punishment for my actions, I will willingly go on any mission you get for me. Natsu missed the now evil glint in the eyes of Naruto. Said man stood up calmly and made his way over to the board. Oh, he knew what mission he would send Natsu on. He picked it up and brought it to Makarov, who read it and looked at Natsu with pity in his aged eyes. Natsu, he had chosen. You have the 7-day Tora the cat mission. Natsu went white as a sheet when he heard that. Tora was a legend amongst fairy tale. He was a cat who was rumored to have beaten both Gilderts and Makarov. The mission came in every few weeks and the mage who did it had to be incredibly powerful to capture the demon cat in the 7 days allowed. So far, only Naruto completed it in 1 day. Even Laxus was hesitant to take the mission. As the pink cat ran to pack with Happy, the doors to the guild were thrown open and an irate pink-haired elderly woman walked in. She was Purusha, Naruto's grandmother and healing expert of fairy tale. She looked directly at Naruto as he bowed to the floor, his forehead touching the wooden floor as she said. Naruto, for your actions these last few days, you will be doing chores that your two-sama would find problematic to complete. And with that, she pointed to the door as Naruto scrambled out. Just another day in fairy tale. Chapter 2. It was the beginning of the end. A venerable apocalypse of pain and horror. Gray watched with eyes filled with pity at the scene. Kana gave a toast to him. Elfman silently prayed. But no one could save him. Not even Two-sama could. The great dragon had nothing on the torture he was facing. Naruto Namikaze was being interviewed by his biggest fangirl, Kami Sotho. The bubbly woman was talking his ear off a mile a minute, asking question after question, never letting him answer. All she asked about was his bandages, him having long since being healed, and his past. A very touchy subject for him. Not many knew about his past, of his life before his arrival in Fairy Tail when he was 13, a year older than the 12-year-olds of his generation. Finally, the woman calmed down enough to ask. If I may ask, how did you get the name the Null Man and your other, less used title of the creator? Naruto looked at her as he said. My magic is complicated. I have many abilities, such as my red cloak magic, my dust magic, and my other less known magics. I gained the name the Null Man after I fought with Gilderts and all of his attacks phased through me. As for my title as the creator, I think that deserves a demonstration. Naruto stood and everyone cleared space for him. They had seen this particular magic, seen how he used it to do the impossible. Makarov had forbidden him from using it in battle, as it burned through his immense magic reserves. Soon, all the guild were exchanging bets about what he would do, many simply betting that he would do something less complicated so that he could go and do stupid things. Like try and find a way to mix a shark and bear to make a sea bear. He was always talking about how the only defense was a circle drawn in the dirt. 9 Get the reference and tell me in the reviews. The bandaged man let out a deep breath as he brought up his right hand, a bright white seal appearing. He spoke, his voice a calm and deep sound. All creation bows to me, and with my right hand I command you to form. A small white ball formed in the center of the guild. It grew until it was the size of a cat. It took shape soon after, becoming more and more like an animal. The light faded as they caught sight of what he had made. A small bear with fins appeared. It had short arms with opposable thumbs and short legs, ending in finned bare feet. On its back was a shark-like fin, and it had a bear head. It had shark-like teeth jutting out of its mouth and had a stitched scar over its left eye. When he was done, the small bear shark fell to the ground, not moving. Naruto groaned as he stood. And now the hard part. With an even deeper breath, Naruto said with his left hand raised. Life held in the balance, and with my left hand I command you to form. The bear gave a spasm. And another. Soon, the creature was shaking rapidly, shaking the floor. A bright light appeared from its mouth and eyes as it gave off a shuddering breath, the first of its life, and it opened its eyes, black orbs looking around in confusion. Naruto staggered, being caught by Gray as he gave a shuddering breath. Those damn yin-yang techniques took a lot out of him. Mirajane looked at the creation the father of her unborn child had created, slowly walking to it. Bending down, she smiled at it. Hello, my name is Mirajane. The bear seemed to recognize the name and stood on wobbly legs, standing just as tall as Happy, if not a few inches taller. It pointed at itself and said. I don't have a name. Can I have a name, Kachan? Mira looked a little surprised at the title, but shrugged nonetheless. Sure, how about Ted? How does that sound? The now named Ted nodded as he looked at a tired Naruto. Tucson looks tired. Is he gonna be okay? Mira nodded as everyone broke out of their stupor. As one they shouted. He's just like Happy. Gray looked at his big brother figure and asked. Bro, what is Ted anyway? Naruto seemed to regain some of his energy as he stood proudly on top of a table. Ted is the answer to my lifelong puzzle of what would happen if you combined a shark and a bear. He is my genius prodigy and my new partner. I have made his body to be impervious to all forms of damage and have even taken the liberty of making him armor beforehand. Hana looked at him. What do you mean beforehand? The bandaged man now had a flowing flag behind him, the image of a grinning chibi Naruto on it, giving the peace sign. I would have done this anyway, even if Kami hadn't have asked for a demonstration. I have created new life. I have done the impossible. Now all I need to do is make a few million more and my plan for world domination will be complete. He cackled evilly as lightning flashed behind him. He soon found himself on the ground, a lump on H9 his head as Kana held up her fist in righteous anger. Naruto Namikaze, Mira, Urza, and I have forbidden you from taking over the world. If you did, we would all be forced to wear your hideous orange. Naruto stood, his finger pointed righteously at the brunette woman. Orange is badass. Even though I don't wear it, it will always remain the ultimate color that makes all of your petty excuses for being a fool worthless. With it, all your base belong to me. Hammy, who had been silent, suddenly shouted. Stop. Hammer time. Naruto said back. Hammy looked shocked as she said. You made a new being. With this, you could bring the dead back to life. Everyone looked solemn as Naruto said. No. I can't. Believe me, I tried. Several times in fact. But the dead remain dead, no matter what. Mirajane held him as she remembered all the weeks he had spent trying to bring Lysana back, but failing to do so. It was partially the reason he had used his version 2 form and was sent to the hospital. He blamed himself for her death. He always carried the burdens of others on his shoulders, even for people he didn't know. Almost as if he was atoning for a past sin. Hammy looked up as Naruto said. And Kami, do not tell anyone about this ability. I don't want to have to use it. It may seem wonderful, but trust me, it drains me of my magic. The bubbly woman nodded her head rapidly as she scurried out of the guild. Naruto grinned as he turned to his family. Makarov walked out of his office and had watched the entire thing, not saying a word. He finally stood and said. Alright everyone, I am proud to say that we have a new guild member, Ted Namikaze, and as such. Let's party. Naruto pumped his fist in the air as he managed to, magically form a stage. A mic appeared along with generic instrument players. He looked out at the expectant guild and said. Wanna know what? It's time to recognize this phenomenon. An electric guitar started to be playing. If you're like us, calling all riders, roll up beside us, no place to hide us all freedom fighters, let's unite us, switch on your nitro us, and let's go destination, for navigation, man up your stations, feel the sensation surround invasion with communication, move quick, we might avoid contamination down, here comes the sound, everyone pound your feet to this phenomenon, now let's make it lit, let's show 'em all how you move to this phenomenon, roll. Open your soul, maybe loss of control inside of this phenomenon, just let yourself go, and let everyone know you move to this phenomenon. Don't let these spiders crawl up beside us, they want to bite us, inject the virus. Raise up lighters, praise to the righteous, we need to guide us, get prepared to go if you're like us, calling all riders, roll up beside is, no place to hide us, all freedom fighters let's unite us, switch on your nitro us and let's go down, here comes the sound, everyone pound your feet to this phenomenon, now let's make it lit, let's show 'em all how you move to this phenomenon, roll. Open your soul, maybe loss of control inside of this phenomenon, just let yourself go, and let everyone know you move to this phenomenon. Can't take it anymore, shake until we move the floor, what are we waiting for? Let's go. I'm tired of being ordinary, don't care if there's people staring, I'll rely on your strength to carry me on. I'm not invisible like you, next time things get a little messed up, I'll shine but I'll never be see-through. I'm fine just trying to wake the rest, here comes the sound, everyone pound your feet to this phenomenon, now let's make it lit, let's show 'em all how you move to this phenomenon, roll. Open your soul, maybe loss of control inside of this phenomenon, just let yourself go, and let everyone know you move to this phenomenon. The guild was in a frenzy at this song. Mira smiled brightly at her man. She always loved his voice. The passion as he sang. Naruto grinned behind his bandages as he said. Want another? Well you got it. Borderline dead inside I don't mind falling to me in, violent let's begin, feeding the do I simplify dislocate the enemies on the way. Show me what it's Lakedo dream in black and white so I can leave this world tonight. Full of fear ever clear I'll be here fighting venomous you'll find meclaming to mine turn back I'll be fine I will get left behind. Holding on to the breath of life so I can leave this world only hurts just only broken the hate. So I can leave this world behind. Holding on to the breath of life so I can leave this world behind. Makarov gave a nod of respect to this song. He understood the meaning. Brothers to the bitter end. Giving your all for the people you care for. Naruto gave another grin as he said. I believe this song matches our guild just fine. Into the night desperate and broken the sound of a fight father has where the kings and queens of Promisu, where the victims of Ursals may be the children of a lesser god between heaven and hell. Into your eyes shapeless and taken we stole our new lives through blood and pain in defense of our dreams where the kings and queens of Promisu, where the victims of Ursals may be the children of a lesser god between heaven and hell. The age of man is a vera darkness comes at dawn these lessons that we've learned here have only just begun where the kings and queens of Promisu, where the victims of Ursals may be the children of a lesser god between heaven and hell. We are the kings who are the queens who are the kings who are the queens. Naruto sighed as he finished. He had one last one left. He pointed to the second floor, right at Laxus, and said in a loud voice. Laxus, this last one id for you. My homie, may you forever be the douch we know and love. Give it to me baby. It to me baby. It to me baby. All the girls say I'm pretty fly for a white dose, tres, cuatro, cinco, no it's kind of hard just to get along subject isn't cool but he fakes it may not have a clue and he may not have everything he lacks well he makes up in denial. So don't debate, a player straight you know he really doesn't get it s gonna play the field and keep it you know way, for you know if you don't rate, just least you'll know you can always go on Ricky World needs wanted, hey. Do that brand new it to me baby. It to me baby. It to me baby. All the girls say I'm pretty fly for a white need some cool tunes not just any will they didn't have Ice Cube so he bought vanilla cruising in his Pinto. He sees homies as he if he looks twice they are gonna kick his lily don't debate. A player straight you know he really doesn't get it s gonna play the field and keep it you know way, for you know if you don't rate, just least you'll know you can always go on Ricky World loves wanted, hey. Do that brand new thing. Now he's getting ink asked for a 13, but they drew a 31 friends say he's trying too hard and he's not quite in his own mins the dopest it to me baby. It to me baby. It to me baby. Dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, don't debate, a player straight you know he really doesn't get it s gonna play the field and keep it you know way, for you know if you don't rate, just least you'll know you can always go on Ricky World needs wanted the world loves wanted, let's get some more wanted, hey. Do that brand new thing. All the guild were either laughing their asses off or applauding as Naruto descended the stage, which magically disappeared. Mira pulled his bandages down slightly, just enough to expose his lips, and crashed hers against his. Naruto pulled her close as they kissed, her mind going to mush as he deepened the kiss. Laxus glared bloody daggers at Naruto for that. He would show him. He would show them all. He would be the strongest in Fairy Tail. He would be the best. All he needed was time. Naruto sat at a table and talked with his friends as he waited for either Natsu or Urza to show up. They had both gone on missions earlier in the week and he was bored without the average brawl that would break out with the pink-haired boy. He opened the paper and proceeded to laugh his ass off. Everyone looked at him strangely. When they read the paper, they too laughed their asses off. Apparently Natsu had made quite the ruckus in Harjan town, destroying all of the docks. Naruto spread his arms wide, wrapping one around Mirajane as she leaned into his chest, listening to his strong and steady heartbeat. Ted sat in his lap, fiddling with a pair of forks. Mira sighed in bliss. Their small family had grown today, if only by a little. And in a few months, they would have one more. Chapter 3 Canon starts. Mirajane sighed as she saw that Naruto was talking to the others about some weird idea of his. She leaned on the bar, her swollen stomach protruding from her pink dress. She smiled as she thought of the doctor visit she had gone to earlier that day. Not even Naruto knew what the baby was and she would keep it that way. Walking over to Naruto's usual table, she sat in the chair reserved just for her, right next to his. She listened as he talked. And then I took the barrel and threw it at the weird dude who ate mushrooms and was ranting about saving a princess from this guy named Boser. He pulled this massive hammer from nowhere and started to swing at me, so I naturally took him down. And got his shrooms. Gray looked in awe at Naruto. And all this happened because you went to go and get a recipe from monks in a monastery. The bandaged man nodded. Yup. And you know what? I never would have had to go had a certain fire dragon slayer no drank my green tea. Next time I see his ass, it's 1,000 years of death time for him. Bray asked. Okay, can you tell me about the time you went to Cincinnati? He was cut off by a grave-looking Markarov who had appeared from nowhere. He spoke, his voice deadly serious. We do not speak of Cincinnati. We do not remember Cincinnati. We must always remember the brave men we lost that day. Naruto gave a nod as Markarov said this. He speaks words of wisdom, youngling. He understands that we must never speak of the dark times for the males of Fairy Tail. A resounding here came from the males as Elfman burst into tears. I was very unmanly then. I did things, horrible things. The cow soothed the now sobbing man as Gray looked at Markarov. Master, is that why you have a box in your closet that says Cincinnati? Do not open on it. Naruto looked at his master, eyes wide in shock. You keep it in the closet. What the fuck, master? We all agreed to burn everything that had to do with that time. Why would you keep it? Markarov said, slightly ashamed. Well, I do get visits from some people from then. Bakaba looked afraid. If my wife finds out about that, I'll not just be murdered, I'll be permanently castrated. I like my balls connected to my body, than you very much. Mira, tired of not knowing what was going on, turned to Naruto and asked in the sweetest voice. Honey, what happened in Cincinnati? Naruto sweated and frantically looked for a solution. He, along with every male in the guild, including Laxus and his boys, had all promised to never speak of that. His answer came from the sound of steps coming to the door. He recognized one of them, but the other was different. Natsu? He looked at Gray and said. Gray, did you hear what Nab just said? He just called you. Are you gonna take that from a B class like him? Gray gained a very demonic look on his face as he turned to the frightened man. I will murder you. He sprung and attacked, setting off a massive brawl that Naruto soon joined, leaving Mira and her questions of that dark time. He would never look at chihuahuas, chocolate, llamas, Eskimos, bananas, sticks, and old woman without clenching his ass. Now, while Bixlo was fine being a weird freak when it came to his sex life, the fact that when the man got drunk and started to scream it to the heavens scared the shit out of our amazing hero. Natsu opened the door to the guild and everyone stopped fighting. He grinned and said. Hey everyone, I brought a new member. Now, whereas he was cut off by the bottle that had collided with his face. Screaming, he dove headfirst into the fight. His blonde and busty companion, Lucy, looked at the brawl in shock. Fairy Tail, the greatest guild in Fiori, was a common fighting house. She saw Mirajane, the poster woman of the guild, come up to her. Lucy internally squealed at the sight of her bulging belly. She had heard the stories that the woman was pregnant with the child of the Null Man, but had thought they were rumors. But they weren't. While Mira was getting Lucy accustomed to the guild, Naruto appeared beside them, his face serious as he looked at Lucy intently. The young blonde looked at him in fear. He was the strongest mage in Fairy Tail. Stronger than Master Markarov. The only reason he didn't take the place of the master was because of the man's growing family. Finally he spoke. Can I have some food? Lucy looked at him as a chair crashed into his head, him not moving or flinching in the slightest. No. Why would I give you food? Well, why wouldn't you give me food? I mean, as your superior, I have the power to make you strip and do ridiculous dances to make me money. Now, can I have some food? Mira sighed at her love's antics. Please ignore the man-child. She ignored Naruto's yell of I will neither confirm or deny that. And continued. He was only teasing you. Anyways, welcome to Fairy Tail. Lucy smiled at the older woman, silently seething at the fact that she still looked amazing even 7 months pregnant. Thanks. But, I have nowhere to sleep. What am I going to do? Naruto looked at Mira as she gave him the one thing that she knew would make him do as she asked. The dreaded puppy dog eyes. He looked into the beautiful blue orbs of the love of his life and caved immediately. Fine, she can stay with us. But, I expect her to keep Ted company. At that moment, the sea bear ran up, his new clothes on. Mirajane, Kana and Levi had taken him shopping for clothes the day of his creation. He wore a pair of black pants, a purple shirt cut to fit his fin, and had a small sewed-up cut going down his left eye. On his back was a long cleaver. Basically what Naughty Bear looks like, only with shark fins and clothes. The small sea bear looked at Lucy, unnerving her before he spoke. Ka-chan, is she okay? I mean, why does she got those 2 lumps on her chest? Is she gonna die? Can I have a bowl of ice cream? Naruto looked down at his son and said. Ted, those 2 lumps as you call them, are one of the things that makes a woman different from us guys. Now, go and bug Kana if you want ice cream. Ted nodded happily as he ran to the brunette. For some reason, he had the biggest sweet tooth. Mira and Naruto had tried to curve it in the time that they had been together, but it hadn't worked. He would literally beg sweets off of anyone. The Null Man stood and started to walk with Mira to Kana when he felt dizzy. A searing pain spread through his back as he collapsed. A magic seal appeared on his back, Mira now screaming in worry. Markarov ran over along with the others as Naruto convulsed, the seal doing its intended purpose. He was soon unconscious. Chapter 4. The seal on Naruto's back was complex. It was made to have the man relive his worst memories, and the only way to stop it was to enter the man's mind and fix it. The team going consisted of Gray, Urza, Mirajane, despite protests, and Kana. Markarov prepared the spell and said. Mind transfer technique. Entrance of the mindscape. They all fell unconscious in their seats. Naruto's memory 1 Naruto is 7. They appeared in a forest, near a clearing. After getting their bearings, they made their way to the clearing to see what they assumed was a younger Naruto. He had shaggy black hair and the same gray eyes, along with purple pants, but no shirt. They saw he had multiple cuts and bruises on him, and he was breathing heavily. Naruto took a deep breath, his young voice echoing through the forest as he held his right hand out. Atomic deconstruction. 50 molecular cells. The purple box with a dark blue orb in the center appeared surrounding a boulder. Naruto took a breath before he shakily said. Deconstruct. The orb flashed once before it imploded inside the expanding box that contained the reaction. After it died down, the boulder was gone, only small particles of dust in the box. The young Naruto staggered, falling to his knees. A figure stepped out of the woods, walking wordlessly to the boy. From the shape of the figure, it was obviously female, dark hair hanging to her knees as she strode to the boy. She had a purple kimono on, wearing tabi and socks. Stopping in front of Naruto. They heard her words, even from so far away. Boy, what were you doing? What has your Tusama said about using those techniques without his permission? Accept your punishment. Naruto stood, his form shaky as he looked at the woman. Sorry, Kasama. But, I needed the practice. The dubbed mother simply backhanded the boy away, leaving a jagged cut on his face. She appeared behind him, axe kicking him into the ground. As your punishment, you will spend the rest of the day holding a boulder over your head. Naruto nodded and scurried off. Mother turned to leave but stopped and spoke. He is getting strong fast. Too fast. What do you intend to do? A deep and gruff voice said. Does it matter? He is my son. You act as if I should be upset that he did what he did. Mother huffed as she said. What does the brat matter? If others found that you of all people have him as your son, he will be a target. Why not just kill him now while he's weak and kill off his bloodline? After all, he is the son of the only man to ever truly fight you on even ground. The voice became deeper and more menacing. Watch what you say of him. I made a promise to the only human I can ever respect to raise his son to be a warrior of immense power. Very well then. Mother sighed. Naruto memory 2 Naruto is 10. They appeared in a small house and saw the young Naruto from before, only he had several bandages on his chest. Small patches of blood stained them as he breathed heavily. A man appeared. His tall frame gaining their attention. He had long dark hair that slicked back. His eyes were a silver that made him look creepy. He wore a black shirt with blue pants. Over his shoulders was the coat Naruto wore regularly. He had a look of regality about him as he let his red comma-filled eyes scan Naruto. After a few minutes, he said. Well, care to tell me your name and why you were in the forest half dead? Naruto looked up, his gray eyes holding the contact with the imposing man. I don't have a name, and Kasama got angry at me for accidentally burning my food. The man frowned and sat in a chair by the bed. Well, my name is Madara Uchiha, and why don't you have a name? Naruto gave a shrug. I never needed one. All things need a name. Names are important. They give us our identities, our purposes. Names are very important. So, why do you believe that you don't need one? Madara said. My name means that I am the most powerful in my family, the Madara of the Uchiha. Asama said that I don't need one, and Tusama just is too busy to give me one. They just call me boy, so yeah. Naruto finished lamely. Madara grinned as he said. Well, why don't I give you one? I have a good idea of what I could give you. Give it a try. How about Naruto? Yeah, Naruto. Named after the character in my book. He held up a blue-covered book that all of the fairy tale mages had seen the Null Man carry around and treat with great respect. Naruto Namikaze. How about it? Does that sound good? Naruto contemplated the name. He liked it. I spoke to him. It made him feel different. Like he was meant to hear the name. Naruto Namikaze. His name. His name. I love it. It sounds just like me. Thank you Madara for all you've done, but I have to go. Tusama will get worried. Madara nodded as he took his coat off and handed it to Naruto. Well, in the future, I hope to see you in my old guild, Fairy Tail. Tell old man Makarov that I sent you. And keep the coat, I have no need of it anymore. And as a last gift, here is my new book, The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Mage. I hope that it helps you find a purpose in life. Hell, find a good girl to settle down with and name your first son after me. Naruto gratefully took the two items, not knowing what to say. Thank you Madara. For the name, healing me, and the gifts. I promise I will go to Fairy Tail, I promise to find a path in life, and I promise to find a good girl to have a son with. Madara watched as Naruto left, a few tears spilling down his face as he did. He spoke, his tone soft and filled with sadness. Goodbye Naruto. I hope you turn out like your father, Miu, and can one day understand why he did what he did. And more than anything else, I hope you can carry on the legacy I just gave you. The man laid down on the bed, his face giving off a smile as his breathing slowed and finally stopped. Madara Uchiha had died with a smile, knowing that he had given the tools to another young person to attempt to find peace in this world of hate. Naruto Memory 3 Naruto is 13. Naruto stood before the guild of Fairy Tail, covered in bandages as he started to do, all his possessions in his bag. He wore the cloak that Madara had given him years ago, and his shaggy and spiky black hair was covered by his purple beanie. He breathed out a sigh as he opened the great doors, seeing everyone stop and stare at him, he quickly made his way to the diminutive master of the guild, Markarov Dreyer. He stopped and the man said. "What can I do for you today, young man?" Stealing his nerves, the future null man said. "I wish to join Fairy Tail." Markarov raised an eyebrow and said. "Why do you want to join?" "Madara has said to come here and tell you that he sent me." Bildert stopped drinking and walked over to the boy. "Madara. Where is he? Is he okay?" Naruto shook his head. "No. He died after giving me my name, which by the way is Naruto Namikaze." Markarov nodded and said. "Well, we will talk later. Now where do you want your guild stamp?" The boy turned and raised the bandages, his many scars showing to the master as he said. "My back please." Naruto memory for Naruto is 18. It was raining as all of Fairy Tail stood by the grave of Lysana Strauss. No one smiled as they watched her casket sink into the ground. A ways away stood the 2-year ranked S-class mage Naruto the Nullman Namikaze. He had been there when Lysana died and he was blamed by all of the guild for it. He wore his usual bandages but under a black suit and purple tie. His normal beanie wasn't on today, his shaggy hair revealed to the world. He didn't dare go down there. He wasn't wanted. It was his fault. All his fault. As one, the guild turned to leave, all of them seeing him standing there under the tree. Markarov gave a sad sigh as he saw the boy-turned man stand away from the people he had at one point called family. He had been disappointed in his children and their words and actions against the growing boy. In her despair, Mirajane had blamed her sister's death on Naruto. He hadn't been to the guild since. Mira scowled at him. But inside she felt horrible. She knew that Naruto had tried to control Elfman, had tried to restrain him. But he couldn't. All he was able to do was get himself hurt, his body given more scars. "What are you doing here, Namikaze?" Naruto simply said. "Paying my respects to the girl I killed." Not waiting for an answer, he turned and started to leave. He stopped when she called out. "If I ever see you again, I will kill you. You were the cause of my sister dying, and that makes you her murderer." He turned sharply, his face set in a scowl as he walked to her, getting the guild to back away. He was known to be powerful, very powerful. He had single-handedly destroyed several Vulcan dens in one mission. He stopped in front of Mira, his voice a deadly whisper that was heard by everyone. It spoke of not caring, of no fear of death. It spoke of how he would gladly fight all of them. "I am so sick and tired of this bullshit. I had nothing to do with Lysana's death. I had my hands busy trying to keep you alive and Elfman restrained. Do you remember? Do you remember how all of you would have died if I hadn't made the atomic deconstruction? 5,000 molecular cells. How all of your family would be buried today and myself living with the guilt. I strained myself, I let Elfman tear my back and stomach open to try and protect you, and what do I get? Nothing. Nothing but a knife in my back from my so-called family. Well, no more. I am no longer going to take this crap. Consider me gone, Mirajane. You will never have to see me again." He turned and left, his words hanging in the air as he did. No one had heard him say such horrible things. No one had even seen him angry. Not when Urza would insult him. Not when Kana bad-mouthed his clothing choices. Not even when he was constantly put down because he had little control over his red Eterno cloak. No one even knew about his past except for the master. All they knew was that he was strong. Strong enough to make themselves jealous and hate him. Naruto Memory 5. Mirajane talked with her friends when the doors to the guild opened, revealing Markarov with tears in his eyes. He addressed the guild. "Children, something has happened. One of our own has been put in the hospital. He is severely hurt and has been sent to the intensive care unit." "Who is it, master?" Kana asked, worried that a friend of hers was in trouble. "Naruto Namikaze has just been admitted into the hospital for fighting and beating 3 of the wizard saints in an official match," Markarov said. All of the guild was quiet except for a new member. The man arrogantly spoke. "He fought 3 wizard saints. Serves him right, I say. The fool should know that he was weak. After all, he did kill Lysana 2 months ago. I say that he gets excommunicated." Soon, many guild members were agreeing with the man. Markarov grew angry and flared his magic, destroying the guild floor. Foolish child. Naruto Namikaze saved this guild. He fought them so that Fairy Tail. They were going to disband our guild for all of the trouble we cause, and he made a bet with them. The bet stated that if he could beat 3 of them, they would leave us alone. But if he lost, he would submit himself to execution. And you are sitting here, telling me to excommunicate him. I have never been so disappointed in my life. He bleeds for this guild, cares for all of you, and what does he get back? Nothing but scorn and hate. I have ignored it for weeks now, but no more. Mirajane, I know what happened on that mission, I know that Naruto nearly killed himself to ensure that all of you were safe. And you go and turn your back on him. Kana, who was it that saved you from being raped? Urza, who gave you their customized sword that they had built personally for them? Gray, who keeps lending you clothes? Elfman, who helped you train? Natsu, who gave you tips and pointers on how to increase the power of your attacks? Levi, who let you read the book he never lets anyone touch or go near? All of you have disgraced the name of Fairy Tail. At least Laxus, my foolish and arrogant grandson, has treated him better than all of you. As of this moment, all of you are suspended from taking any missions until I say so. Leaving his shocked guild, Makarov strode to the hospital. At night, Naruto lay in his bed at the hospital, covered in bandages from his rather foolish fight with the three wizard saints. His old ones had been destroyed in the fight and he was in pain. He did that so that maybe, just maybe, he would be accepted. But it wouldn't happen. He was hated. The door to his room opened and Mirajane walked in. He lifted himself into a sitting position, making him grit his teeth in pain. He felt exposed. No one had ever seen him without his bandages. And the only one that did, who had cared, died a few months ago. He felt her look at him, his exposed torso and arms. He felt her look at each of his individual scars. Mira didn't know what to expect when she went to his room. She wasn't expecting this. He was sitting there, his body uncovered from all the bandages. She had never known why he always wore them, but Lisana knew. The day she had asked, she had come back crying and sobbing against Naruto's chest. Nothing prepared her for this. His left arm looked like it had been cut off at one point and been sewed back on by an amateur. His torso was covered in terrible, horrible scars. Two noticeable ones were the one over his heart and one that looked like it had been cut open. She looked at his face and saw the strong mouth and jaw. The intelligent gray eyes. She saw the deep scarring of the left side of his face. She sat by his bed in a nearby chair. The silence expanded for a few minutes. Naruto finally said something. Well, this is unexpected. The last time we spoke, you said that you would kill me. Well, I'm not dead, though I feel as though I should be. Mira laughed mirthlessly. I did. But I won't. Not today. Then why are you here? Obviously you wouldn't be here for no reason, so tell me, what can you possibly gain by talking with me? An insight into my past. The secrets of my magic. My weaknesses. Or are you here to distract me while Kana, Urza, or one of the others come from behind to kill me and rid Fairy Tail of my presence? Mira looked at him in shock. Why would you think those things? We would never. Bullshit. I know you, I know all of you. I know that since day one I have never been liked. So save your honeyed words for someone who cares. It would be easier to kill me and get it over with than deal with me anymore. After all, no one cares about me. Last year, who out of every person in the guild came and visited me when I had to get a knife out of my back? No one. Kana, Natsu, and Gray all have never treated me like a person. Urza openly mocks my skills. Levi tries to take my book and keep it. So tell me Mira, why should I care about any person in the guild other than Lisana? What is keeping me there? Nothing. Leave. I have no need of a girl who thinks that she can save my already damned soul. Besides, I live by a simple rule. Those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. He laid back down and turned his back on a sobbing Mirajane. Said girl got up and left the room to see the others all crying at the way they betrayed their comrade. They didn't know that he was so depressed. He always seemed so cheerful, so full of life. But he wasn't. He was in obvious pain and they made it worse. He was their family and they didn't want him. Before she left, Mirajane gained a determined look and marched back into his room. She glotted him as she said. Why would you say that? What could possibly make you believe that we don't care? He turned to her, his gray eyes filled with so much emotion that it almost drowned her. When I was a boy, I didn't have a name. It wasn't until I turned 10 that I got one from Madara Naruto Namikaze. Ever since then I have tried to find my purpose. And I did. I am the Nullman of Fairy Tail. I grew up living a life of violence. Every day I had to go and get food for myself. Every day I was forced to survive. And through it all, I learned lessons of life. One of which was to always protect your precious people. But how can I protect what I don't have? But you do. We care. I care. Why do you think I came here? Every time I saw you in the guild, I saw someone who tried so hard to get recognition. Someone who never let himself fall to his demons. Since the day you came here, wanted to be your friend. But I couldn't. I felt that you would understand what it felt like to be in my situation. And then you changed. You stopped caring and started to get stronger. Then you became an S-class mage. You're so strong, you never back down, and you care. And for the longest time, I have had a crush on you. But I guess I burned that bridge, huh? Mira said, her voice full of pleading. Naruto looked at her and said quietly. Mira, I'm not brave. I feel fear. I feel anger. But I also feel hated. No one tried to talk to me, tried to listen to me. Master was always so busy taking care of all of you that he forgot me. Believe it or not, I had planned to fake my death to see who would cry for me. And it most likely wouldn't have been anyone. After all, who can love a man like me? Mira looked at him, locked eyes with him. She stroked his cheek and held his hand. All into the night, they stayed like this. And in those moments turned hours, she finally understood him. His pain. His fear. All because she loved him. Naruto's mindscape. After all the memories passed, they found themselves in a large room that had multiple doors that led to the different parts of his mind. In the center was Naruto fighting a purple rendition of himself. Seeing this, they all attacked it, Mira standing back. The purple thing laughed evilly as it said. My, look at all these fools. They think they can beat me. Who are you? Naruto growled. Me? Well, I was sent by certain members of a certain few guilds to kill you. They think of you as a threat to them, and so far, I have to agree. Yami said. Naruto calmed himself and held out his hand. A purple barrier appeared around Yami as he said. Atomic destruction. 100 cells. The ball in the center glowed as it expanded. Yami's eyes widened as he was erased from existence. Naruto sighed as he rushed and hugged Mirajane. I love you. Mirajane looked at him as she said. I know. Now, let's get out of here. Outside of the mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes as he stood. Who had hit him with that seal? Why? All of this ran through his mind as he hugged and kissed his love. All of the guild cheered for him. All his closest friends hugged him or clapped him on the back. On the upper floor, Laxus watched, his eyes staring to the bump that was Mirajane's stomach and the child of his greatest enemy. He would win. That much was for sure. Namek, make a circle. Naruto ran, occasionally looking behind him. The beast was still there and he was running out of room. He ran through the doors of Fairy Tail, the doors closing, but he knew they wouldn't hold. Turning to the guild, he brought out a piece of chalk and drew a circle large enough for a few people. Get in the fucking circle. The sea bears are here. Mira got in, as well as Kana, Urza, Natsu, and Gray. Lucy looked at them weirdly as she said. Nothing is out there. She foolishly opened the door. The beast attacked and mauled her, making her scream. Naruto yelled. Draw a circle. Doing as told, she was attacked again. He shouted again. That was an oval, try a circle. Lucy just jumped into the circle as the sea bear looked at the circle, then at Lucy and snarled as it pointed and backed away. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Is everyone wearing their anti-sea rhinoceros underwear? Everyone but Lucy gave an affirmative. Then, a sea rhinoceros appeared and grinned at the scared blonde. Just another day in Fairy Tail. Chapter 5. Naruto sat in Fairy Tail, having just returned from a mission that awarded him 10,000,000 jewels, watching as Mikao's son, Romeo, talked to Makarov. He sighed as he watched the boy ask for a team to be sent to find the man and knew the answer that his master would give. And while it pained him to say it, Mikao was a strong mage. He should be able to watch over himself. But for now, he had some things to do. Such things were of the nature of getting in contact with his longtime friend and member of the Cincinnati Didn't Happen Club, which contained pretty much every male in the guild. That man's name was Madara and he was an artist. Sighing out loud, Naruto stood and walked to the doors, but not before giving Mirajane a kiss on the cheek. Lucy watched as he left, a curious glint in her eyes. Turning to Kana, she asked. Hey, Kana, what's with Naruto? He seems nice and he's funny, but there's something about him that makes me curious. Looking at the blonde, Kana said. Naruto is one of the most powerful mages in the guild, easily surpassing Gilderts and the master. But his past was a bad one. I don't know any explicit details, but I do know that he was raised by a dragon. He never said who that dragon was, but apparently Naruto loved him a lot. I also know he was raised by a woman he just calls Kasama and that the woman treated him like dirt. Ask Mira if you want more info. Doing just that, Lucy asked the white-haired pregnant woman who just sighed. Naruto, from what he's told me, was raised by a very hard dragon who wasn't a very good one. He was partly the reason that Naruto wears bandages all the time to cover the scars that he has accumulated over his life and training. I remember this one time. Flashback. Meyer watched as Naruto walked through the guild. It had only been 2 days since he had been released from the hospital, the night that they had expressed their feelings about the guild and each other also in the past. Now, they were back in the guild and everything was seemingly back to normal for them. Naruto was back to being disliked by the guild and she was back to observing him from afar. She saw him look at her, his gray eyes showing sadness in them. Guilt spread throughout her as she saw him sit at a table by himself, pulling his beaten and old book from the pocket of his Haori. The weathered pages were yellow from age as he held it carefully, trying not to damage it. A movement from the left caught her eye as Levi Megarden walked to him, a frown on her face. Arriving at his table, she crossed her arms and asked. What would you need with a book? Can you even read? Looking at her, the null man said. Of course. And this book is one of my most precious objects. A devious smile appeared on her face as Levi leaned down. Oh yeah. She grasped it and pulled. The sound of tearing could be heard as the book was torn apart in front of Naruto. The guild went deathly quiet as they stared at the two. Suddenly, a massive amount of magical power came crashing down on them, snuffing the breath from their lungs. Naruto stood calmly and coolly made his way to Makarov, who was only affected slightly by the crushing magical power. Unwrapping the bandages on right arm, Naruto revealed his guild seal amongst a sea of scars. Master, I regretfully inform you that I resign from Fairy Tail effectively immediately. They watched as the simple purple mark faded from his arm and he turned to leave. He collected his Haori and walked out of the guild. Stopping at the door, he turned to them. Madara Uchiha once said that Fairy Tail mages cared for each other as they did a family. But, I guess that's for people that aren't me. And Mira, thank you. He turned and walked out into the stormy night, his footsteps echoing throughout the room. Silence pervaded until Makarov stood, his face set in a look of disappointment. Never have I been more disappointed in all of you than now. Never have I been so sad to see my children act like this. Never did I think I would see the day when all of you, people who all know what it's like to have a hard life, ignore someone who so desperately needed us. But, what's done is done. But for the record, Naruto is the one who saved you, Kana, from being raped, correct? Urza, who was it that made you cake when you were feeling depressed? Natsu, who was it that taught you how to be strong? Gray, he treated you like a brother. As for the rest of you, I have never been so angry in my life. I constantly brag to other guild masters that mine is a giant family. But, I guess you all made me a liar. I cannot express in words how the Naruto feels because he is the only one who has ever survived fighting against a group of wizard saints just for the sake of this guild. And now, he's gone. Mira stood on shaky legs as she ran after Naruto. The words that he said echoed in her mind as she ran. After all, who can love a man like me? But she did. Mirajane Strauss loved Naruto Namikaze with all her heart. How she wanted to scream it to the heavens, but now she might not be able to. Would he even accept her love? Did he care? She followed his magical signature and found herself in front of an apartment complex. Walking in, she found the manager and got Naruto's apartment number. Her soaked form made its way to the door and knocked on it. Opening it was Naruto, all the bandages off of him. His shaggy black hair hung around his head, the spikes in it pointing in all directions. His eyes widened in surprise at seeing her. Mira, I come in. You're soaked to the bone. Leading her into his apartment, Mira was surprised at how clean and orderly it was. Even though he did have a photo of himself and two others, one a man with a strong face and a firm jaw, bluish black hair smoothed back, and a woman with a hard-looking face and cold brown eyes. She had dark black hair that fell to her mid-back. In the center was a young Naruto, his body covered in bandages and his purple beanie hat on. Sitting in a comfortable chair, Mira awkwardly sat there before she spoke. Naruto, I'm so sorry about your book. I know how important it was to you. He waved it off. It's just a book. I have the entire thing memorized by now, so don't worry. Giving a nod, she sighed. It was now or never. Standing and walking to him, she grabbed his face and crushed her lips to his. It was a passionate kiss, filled with love and hope for the future. Pulling back, she said. Naruto, please, don't leave. Naruto kissed her again. Pulling back, he replied. Why would I? Then flashback. Lucy sat there, tears flowing as she heard such a romantic tale. Then what happened? She asked. Well, he came back to the guild and the rest is history. Mira said before she gave a soft grunt. The baby's kicking. Do you want to feel? Getting a nod, the white-haired woman took Lucy's hand and placed it on her bulging belly. The blonde gave a gasp as she felt a small foot kick again. Sitting back, she asked. What is it? A boy or girl? Promise not to tell Naruto. Looking around, she saw Kana, Urza, Levi, Natsu, Elfman, and Gray all nod. It was Kana who spoke. You have our word. Giving a sigh, Mirajane said. The baby is a boy. All the males stood proud, happy to have a future addition to their sex coming. All the girls squealed at that. It wasn't a mystery that all the girls in the guild were jealous that Mira had bagged such a good man as the father to her child. Kana looked at Mira and asked. Say, Mira, didn't the council order Naruto to take on more than one wife so he can ensure that his genetic abilities were passed down? At the nod she was given, Kana continued. Well, I was wondering, would you be mad if, say, I were to join? Looking at her inquisitively, Mira asked. And why would you want to have Naruto's child? Well, he's strong, he cares, he has a great personality, and he is a potential wizard saint. He's the complete package. Was the answer to the question. It would be up to Naruto. Personally, I say the more the merrier. It would be good to have some children running around here. Maybe it would lighten the mood. As she said this, Mikao's son Romeo was conversing with Makarov. Whatever the master said must have angered him as he punched the diminutive master and ran off out of the guild. Natsu was quick to follow the boy. And no one noticed that Naruto had too. Chapter 6 1 month later. Mirajane laughed as she wiped the bar off, her swollen belly plainly obvious. The day had started pretty well. Naruto had made them breakfast and had even done all of the household chores. Then, they had arrived at the guild and he had taken a simple B-class mission to a nearby town for 50,000 jewels. Not that they needed the money. Naruto got paid really well for the books he wrote, even though they were perverted. She was talking with Urza and Kana when the guild doors opened and Naruto walked in. He stopped and hugged and kissed Mira before getting paid for the mission. Sitting, he was soon confronted by Gray who had a serious look on his face. "Bro, please teach me how to do the atomic deconstruction." Sighing, Naruto said. "Gray, it's not atomic deconstruction. It's dust magic. And no, you can't." "Why? What could possibly be so dangerous about it?" Urza asked. "I mean, come on, it doesn't look that hard. All you do is control how much power is in the energy that is the actual magic center of the attack." "No, it takes a lot more than that to use dust magic. Dust magic is a lost magic form that can switch the atomic structure of things around. I can turn lead into gold, make a person weightless, and with enough dirt I can make pretty much anything with enough practice and power. Well, Gray can use it, he must first learn conversions and mathematics. If he so much as messes up one thing in the technique of even the most simple of the spells, he could potentially obliterate all of Magnolia Town. And no, I do not use the more powerful forms of the magic and never go above 10,000 cells. To use it at its full potential, I could turn all of Fiori into a crater. If and when I take on a student to teach this to is at my discretion. Even at my level of control, I can only use it to a small degree. What I did earlier to that beast that put me in the hospital was dangerous. To combine my red Eterno cloak and dust magic was foolish." He explained. Anna decided to butt in at that point. "So, what does it do exactly?" "Dust magic is, essentially, manipulating the atomic structure of all the things in the cube. The cube represents the boundary of manipulation. I can't affect anything outside of it. The cells are the amount of magic power put into the orb in the center. The more I put in, the less power I can use to control the reaction. The more I put in, the less I can control the reaction. But with time and training, I can use it to form an incredibly powerful attack." Gray seemed a bit off-put by that, but gained a determined look. "So, what can you teach me?" Naruto grinned as he flexed his hand, making electricity circulate through it. "I can teach you lightning magic." Laxus got an angry look in his eye at that. This punk knew lightning magic. He had to see what kind of abilities he had. Gray looked at the lightning, curious. "And what can you do with it?" Walking outside, Naruto closed his lighting-covered hand and the sound of chirping filled the air. In his hands was a medium-sized ball of lighting that compressed the more he squeezed. "This is the Chidori. The 1000 lightning birds. What it does is make the hand a sword." He stopped the power and looked at Gray. "Now, I have another magic I could teach you." His hand was covered in a magic seal that a swirling mass of Eterno came out of that fit in his hand. He held it up and said. "This is the Rasengan. I have several variations of this that I can teach you. Make a choice, Chidori or Rasengan." Gray thought it over and said. "Can I make a decision later?" "You need to think." "Very well. Now be a good little Gray and go and get me green tea. I feel thirsty." Gray got a tick mark on his head as he said. "Oi, get it yourself you lazy bastard. And take your crappy ramen with you. We have no need for your pathetic noodles." "The fuck you just say? Do you want me to turn you into a pile of dust in the wind, resulting in Lucy being forced to always partner with the walking fire bitch?" Naruto growled out. The last bitch that insulted Raymond was brutally turned into a walking Steve Urkel. Lucy started to sweat. "Please don't. I don't want to deal with all that crazy." Naruto gave a nod as he turned and looked at Mira. He smiled as he said to her. "I have to go and speak to a friend of mine. I'm trying to convince him to join Fairy Tail and I'm almost there in getting him to join." "Who is it?" "He was, a while ago, a member of a guild that went under. Now, he frequents bars all over this region. Now, from what I garnered, he's in Magnolia Town." "Well, what's his name?" Gray asked. "His name is Dadara Iwa," was the reply to the question. Mira sighed as she remembered the blonde-haired man. He was way more eccentric than the normal members of the guild were. Way more. Bidding a kiss goodbye, she went back into the guild hall. She looked up from the weekly sorcerer as a shadow loomed over her. It was Natsu. "Can I help you?" "Yes. Can you please help me? How do I beat Naruto? He's so strong." "Sorry, Natsu, but I can't help you." "And why not?" was her angry reply. "Because, you should figure it out on your own." Apparently Natsu didn't like this answer. He growled as he charged up his fist. He launched it at Mira, who was backing away, only to be stopped by a furious Gray. How dare you attack Mirani? What give you the right? He punched the pink-haired boy in the stomach and watched as she dropped to the floor. He said to Natsu. Just wait till Naruto gets back and I tell him about what you just tried to do. Chapter 7 Prison bitches or the demon who loves himself the artist. The Magic Council was convened as they all thought of what to do with a certain guild. After Natsu, with help from Gray, Urza and Lucy, took out Lullaby, damage reports had come in. Now, several residential blocks of the city had to be rebuilt and it was all those mages' fault. An idea came to mind, quickly gaining support and soon, Fairy Tail would know the law. Fairy Tail, 2 days after Naruto left. After Natsu had so foolishly attacked Mirajane, the Fire Dragon Slayer had been beaten by Grey hard. After said beating, he had gotten a mission and destroyed Lullaby, inflating his ego. We find the guild all relaxing, waiting for the Null Man to return. Mira wiped the bar down with help from Kana, he now nearing 8.5-month large stomach, making it slightly difficult. It was times like these that she wished she knew all the different magics that Naruto did. After all, he did know a spell that made hundreds of copies of himself. Makarov had begged the man to teach him the secret magic after learning all of its abilities, going as far as to teach the Namek his Titan magic. Finished, the white-haired woman wiped her brow. All done. Now all I need to do is sit down and finish this week's weekly sorcerer. Walking to the table, Mira paused and grunted as the baby started kicking. It had been doing that more and more lately, showing that it was near time for it to be born. What concerned her was that it would be a child of 2 very powerful mages with a near limitless potential. Combined with the naturally occurring magic that Naruto had, and their baby could very well be the most powerful mage since the founder of Fairy Tail, Mavis Vermilion. Sitting down, she sweat-dropped as Gray looked with suspicion at anyone who came near the table. He had been paranoid since Natsu attempted to attack her. It made her happy that he would do that for her, but also curious. Gray, why do you care so much for Naruto? She asked, her curiosity evident in her voice. Looking up at the ceiling, he answered. Because he taught me an important lesson in what it means to be human. Flashback 8 months before. Gray looked at the ocean as he and Naruto walked along a road following the coast. The relationship between the two of them had grown to a brotherly level and Gray trusted the bandaged man with his life. They arrived at a small town and went to begin their mission. Along the way, Gray noticed all the people living in the streets as well as the people begging for food. Turning his head, Gray heard Naruto say in a serious voice. Don't look away, Gray. This is what life is like for these people, the people without any hope. People who have given up on protecting what they think is precious. Why are they here? Why doesn't someone do something? Because these people are undesirable. In the eyes of the nobility, they are trash. The so-called upstanding citizens of Fiori would sooner cut their own arms off than help any of them. It is places like this that remind me of a lesson taught to me by my 2-sama. We cannot live in a world where the undesirables are thrown away. It is up to us to change the next generation's views of what reality is. Gray nodded but watched as a young boy ran up to an older man, stealing his money and cane. He was about to intervene when Naruto stopped him again, pointing at the now dead old man. The Namikaze continued speaking. Children who have grown up knowing nothing but peace have different values than children who have known nothing but war. They are the true face of humanity, these people. The reason I took you along on this mission was simple. You, as well as everyone else in the guild, has been coddled into thinking that everything will be alright in the end, that nothing can hurt you, and that life is always fun and games. And while it is true that you should have fun when you can, and that maturity is necessary to live, you had been building this idealistic view of the world, where the government can do no wrong, and that guilds do not affect the community. He gestured to all the damaged buildings around them, some of them looking as if caused by magical attacks before he continued. This town was once a proud and strong place a mod 20 years ago, called the Village of Rain. One day, a mage named Hanzo the Salamander took over the town, taking children to be turned into mage soldiers. When the Magic Council heard, they sent a man named Hiruzen Sarutobi, the god of mages, as well as his 3 students Orochimaru the snake, Tsunade Senju the slug, and Jiraiya, the toad mages to eradicate Hanzo, as well as to teach this village to never stand against them again. Due to those actions, this once beautiful place is now nothing more than a slum. Gray, I want you to think on the fairy tale way. Do what you think is right. Because when you let people like Hanzo or the Magic Council guide your actions, whether through being naive or not, whether through threats or whatnot, you lose what we call humanity, and you become nothing more than a tool of the death god to take the lives of others. Naruto I smiled then. Besides, if I die, how can I trust you to look after my child and Mira? Then flashback. Gray smiled as he recalled the words that his big brother had spoken. Since that day, he had paid more attention to the missions sent by the Magic Council and only took the ones he knew were right. Realizing that he had zoned out, he said. Since that day, I have done what I can to help you. I know it's not much, but I try." Before they could continue, the guild doors opened and Naruto walked in with a strange red head. The man had red hair and brown eyes that looked messy, yet controlled. He wore a mesh undershirt under a short-sleeved black shirt and pants, as well as black boots. Over that he had a red coat that had the kanji for Puppet Master on the back. On his back was a large scroll. Naruto grinned behind his bandages as he kissed Mira. "I'm home and I brought a redhead. Now where is my dear little Ted?" Mira frowned as she said. "Ted accidentally lit himself on fire. He burned to ash. I'm sorry." Naruto looked at Mira for a moment before sighing and saying, "Well shit. Poor little sea bear. Oh well, he died as he lived. As a hero of many nations. May his sacrifice not be in vain." Ray, after finishing his sweat drop, said. "Well Naruto, who is this?" "That is Sasori. He is one of the two people I went to find. The other wasn't where he should be, and therefore I could not get him." Naruto paused as he saw the weekly sorcerer on the table. His eyes widened as he grabbed it and read through it frantically. "What is this? Written words on paper. What madness is this?" Sasori nodded, his face serious. "Yes, we must burn them all." Lucy asked timidly. "Why?" "Because if the serfs find this, they have the power to learn," Naruto said as he looked out the door at a group of poorly dressed people plowing and toiling in the soil. One of them looked up. "What have you got there, Millard?" "Nothing. Back to your turnips," Naruto snapped. The serfs all fearfully turned back to their toiling, afraid of offending their master and losing their plots of land. They knew what happened when Lord Naruto was angered, or hungry, or horny. Hell, even when he was normal he did insane and weird things. Lucy and the rest of Fairy Tail watched this interaction with dropped jaws as they tried to understand what in the name of heaven and hell just happened. Mira merely smiled as she looked at the magazine. It says here that Naruto Namikaze is currently on the list for a position as a wizard saint, as well as being the strongest mage in Western Fiori. Not only that, but he and Mirajane Strauss are currently expecting a child in the next month or two. Naruto stopped all semblance of weird as he pulled Mira closer to him. He didn't know much about children, only that they needed food to survive. So it was up to her to teach him the proper way of caring for small children. Sasori stood awkwardly as the touching scene commenced. He didn't understand a lot about relationships and as such, had never felt them necessary. But a flash of red caught his eye as he looked at the face of someone he had not seen in years. Urza. Chapter 8. It was a panic as Fairy Tail descended into chaos, even as Naruto calmly stood by Mirajane, not even registering the pain his hand was in, as the white-haired beauty crushed it in her iron grip. The null man of Fairy Tail took a breath and led a deep-breathing Mira out the door, Kana and Gray carrying the bags that had been prepared for this moment and left in the guild. They arrived at Purusha's hut in 10 minutes, with Mira now screaming as the contractions tore through her. Never had she felt such pain, such agony. Even when she had been hit with an S-class spell by Naruto when they sparred a couple of years ago felt nothing like this. "Naruto, we need to hurry. The baby's coming." She grit out. "We're almost there. Just a couple more minutes, Mirajane," Naruto said, his voice cracking alongside his hand. Mira pulled him to her, looking him dead in the eye as she did. "I can't move anymore. You have to carry me." The mage gulped before he steeled himself and picked her up bridal style. He grunted as he ran the rest of the way up the stairs of the hut, Gray and Kana looking at him in amazement. Kana said. "Damn. He didn't lift with his legs, so he will be feeling that in the morning." Gray mused, "Only I be hit by Kana." "Idiot. Mira's in labor." "But Naruto." The bandages man paced back and forth as he anxiously awaited news of the birth. He had never felt this way before, as he had built himself up from the ground with his emotions. And while there had been snags, he had ultimately succeeded with the help from his closest friends. But Mira had, after their emotional and rough start, been his closest, most understanding friend, then lover, and now mother to his child. But to hear her in such pain tore his heart out. He wanted nothing more than to go in there and remove her pain, but couldn't. As he paced, his mind flashed back to the day that she had told him of her pregnancy. Flashback 9 months ago. Naruto was staring at Mira, his normal bandages gone, as his mind processes what he had been told. Mirajane was looking at him with happiness as they stood in the house that they stayed in together. "A baby? You're pregnant? With my child?" "Yes, Naruto-kun. I'm pregnant," a surprisingly calm Mira stated. She had only found out yesterday and had been happy ever since. Naruto said nothing before he grinned and hugged her, spinning her around as he did so. "I'm gonna be a dad." Mira laughed as Naruto hugged her, spinning her around as he did so. He was so happy, the smile on his face could brighten the sun. And he herself couldn't help but smile as she thought of the small life form growing inside her. Then flashback. So caught up in his memories, Naruto didn't feel it as Master Makarov put his hand on his shoulder. Naruto, she'll be fine. Mira's a tough girl. I know master, but I can't help but feel anxious and scared for her. She was the first person to accept me and I don't want her to get hurt. Don't worry my boy, I can guarantee that she will be fine. It's not that I'm worried about. What if I can't be a good dad? You out of everyone know just who raised me and how fucked up I truly am, so what if I make a mistake? Makarov smiled as he said. Naruto, you aren't going to be doing this alone. Mirajane Strauss is having your child and will help raise the baby. And you have all of Fairy Tail to help you. Naruto nodded with a smile as he sat down in a chair and began the agonizing process of waiting for word on the condition of Mira and the baby. It was hours later that Purusha walked out, her normally neat and orderly hair having multiple misplaced bits. She looked at Naruto and said. It's a boy. The mage sprang up and was immediately in the room beside Mira as they looked and held a small blue bundle. Naruto looked down at his son and saw the similarities between all three of them. The boy had spiky white hair and cobalt blue eyes. He had a tanned complexion, not unlike his father, and had a round cherub face. Mira was crying as she held the baby, looking at Naruto. What should we name him? Naruto took a moment before he answered. He looked at the child and saw the resemblance to the man who had given him his name and felt that he owed the man something. Madara. His name will be Madara. What if Naruto is Mirajane's brother? Fairy Tail end here and thanks for watching my video till the end.